I played in a post-rotation event with a rogue deck so that you didn't have to. What's going on, everyone? Pekalek DCG here, and today I'm going to be going over my Dusknoir, Mega Lopunny, Linoone, Mega Kangaskhan deck. Yes, there is a Mega Kangaskhan. I just can't let the thing go in post-rotation. I know, I'm going to hear it all about it in the comments. I'm going to hear it in the Discord. Hear me out. So I had an idea about 20 minutes before the tournament started for a post-rotation locals equivalent, essentially. And I was about to bring the deck that I was going to pilot to the full grip event, which would have been Mega Box, and I was having some consistency issues the last week or so with it, and I didn't really want to risk that, and wanted to play something completely different. And I was looking through bulk, I saw the Linoone, and was like, oh, okay, wait, I put this in my bulk for a reason, it's probably bad, and then the more I thought about it, I was like, okay, but this with Mega Lopunny could seem extremely interesting. This is a better time than ever to actually put that to the test. And it honestly wasn't that bad. So, for those who don't know, Linoone has an ability where once during your turn, if this Pokemon is on your bench and you have any Mega Evolution Pokemon in play, you can use this ability, switch it with your active Pokemon. So what that means is you're able to use Kangaskhan's Run Errand to draw 2 cards, combo it with Cypher, do whatever you want, use Excited Dash to reset and not reset the Kangaskhan, but put it to the bench and then put the Mega Lopunny in the active. It's also really good for just flat-out comboing with Mega Lopunny, which I think they came out in the same set they did. So they were able to combo the first time, and I don't think anybody really played it because it was just kind of cheeky, and the Linoone honestly was pretty bad. But I figured with the format low-key kind of slowing down and becoming more item lock prevalent or single prize irrelevant, that maybe, just maybe, it's time for Linoone was around. I was also toying around with a copy of Fan Rotom, so that's kind of where like the entire thing came together, because Fan Rotom grabs Zigzagoon, Buneri, and Linoone off of a single fan call, so it's just able to grab all your Pokemon. So obviously, Bunny Bombs is already an archetype, but in rotation, we do lose some pivotal cards like Jet Energy being the literally the biggest card you could lose from this deck, which almost inadvertently seemed to have killed the playability of this deck, but I wanted to tinker around with it because I do think the concept is extremely strong, but it's just how do you handle it. Also, one of the things in post-rotation that is a little bit wonky that we're going to talk about later is the question of how fighting dominant it really is. So obviously, we have Dusknoir to fix math with Mega Lopunny. Mega Lopunny plus Dusknoir is 360 damage altogether with one combo, so it knocks out pretty much most things in the game except for Mega Venusaur. I think that thing is like 370. Dusclops fix math, so we can go 280, so you're one-shotting most pre-Mega Pokemon or like a baby Mega Pokemon like Mawile. And Dusknoir can snipe pretty much anything else. Spiky Hopper can go through Crustle and stupid things like that. And in general, Gale Thrust takes out most, if not all, of the Terra Pokemon, because the basic Terra Pokemon, because of the ability to go 230. So some of the choices I want to go with the list, like obviously I wanted to do the 2 because that seemed common from what I was seeing with Bunny Bomb's list. There was another thing that I was seeing with this where it was like a 4-2-3 Dusknoir and 4 copies of Rare Candy. I haven't played this deck too much, and maybe that's correct, but my logic is you don't want to like flood your deck with too many like combo pieces to go Rare Candy into Dusknoir over like having the ability to just go double Dusclops. Like the 4th Duskull you could argue is honestly stronger in here than a 4th Rare Candy. But you also want to have bench slots, which was a big issue with this deck, is if you had Kangaskhan, then your bench would essentially have to be 2 Duskulls, a single Buneri, the Linoone, and you probably had some equivalent of you got Fan Rotom stuck on the board, you got Latias stuck on the board, you got a Meowth stuck on the board, or so, like the second Buneri, and it was like really weird, which is why like I just kind of toyed around with the list a little further for an additional 4 hours to kind of get it to its maximum. Of course, the 1 Budew, 1 Meowth DX, which for those newer viewers, it's in Japanese. Trump Card Catch, which is not actually the name of the ability's last is Catch. But once during your turn, when you play this Pokemon from your hand on your bench, you may search your deck for a supporter card and put it in your hand. It's very, very strong. Very, very strong. And thankfully, I got my hands on a couple of them during the pre-release. Shout out to Devin. And shout out to, I don't think Greg gave me one. I know Devin definitely did, and I did pull one. So, yeah, I guess shout out to Devin. He's a homie. But yeah, Mouth's a broken card. We had the inclusion of Fluttermane in here because I don't know how prevalent Psyduck was going to be, and there was pretty much only one in the entire tournament, and by the time I ended up getting Fluttermane out, it didn't really matter. Like, it counted for the last turn to where I was able to promote Fluttermane and then Dusknoir, take out a Cyndaquil, and they couldn't use Tatsugiri to draw out of an unfair stamp, and they just pretty much bricked and lost from there. Outside of that, like, the supporter line felt actually terrible, and that's one of the reasons why I actually went back and fixed the list, and I'm going to be going over that in a minute too. 3 Cypher, 3 Hilda, 2 Boss, and a Petrol. Petrol is, I think, really good if you play Meowth and Unfair Stamp, because it's just a combo that you're able to just immediately nail out of your hand and disrupt your opponent after they knock something out, which is really cool. I had the triple copies of Cypher just for Kangaskhan. I had triple Hilda so I could get the Lopunny and the Linoone access a little bit better, and the 2 Boss felt fine. You could probably go to 3, but for the most part, it felt fine. The biggest problem here was drawing cards, which ironically Kangaskhan is supposed to fix, but if you're not seeing more cards and you're just using Cypher to see the 2 cards you want, which you could argue is better than seeing 2 random cards, you're not really gaining anything. So if you Unfair Stamp, that's it. That is your only other way of changing your hand and drawing into new cards outside of Kangaskhan randomly drawing you cards, and you really can't afford to use Kangaskhan every turn, especially when you have 2 copies of Switch. You have 4 Pokepad, 4 Buddy Poffin, 3 Nice Searcher, 3 Candy, 2 Switch. That should have been 3 right off the get-go, but I kept bouncing back and forth to fit stadiums, and Battle Cage, spoiler alert, was the worst possible stadium I could have chose. And then 2 copies of Ultra Ball. We, of course, have Unfair Stamp, which is broken. We have 2 copies of Balloon, so you can pair it with Linoone, 2 Battle Cage, 4 Mist, and an Ignition. Ignition was, in case somebody saw the list, the Crustle list that got top 4 or top 8 at the Champions League, the big one, and I wanted just kind of like an auto response to it. So the consensus was this deck was bad. Was it consistent? No. Did it function? Yes. Did it do what it needed to do? Yes. But the majority of the games, I will openly admit, I had really hot opening hands, and Badoo was enough to kind of break them out. So what did I change, and why do I think why this deck has a chance moving forward? I want to take a moment to thank our sponsor, EGS, or Elite GameSpot. Elite GameSpot is the elite gaming store out of Croswell, Oregon. They are one of, if not one of the best mom and pop shops in the entire United States. They have everything from tabletop needs to singles to even a self-grading service. So for all your singles and grading needs, go check them out. I'll leave the link in the description below. Back to the video. So what I did change was quite a lot, and the deck feels a lot more consistent doing it this way. So, of course, we still kept the Dusknoir line. Like I said, that could be a 4th Duskull if you really wanted to, but bench space is really tight. We go to 2/2 Mega Lopunny still, and a new package that I thought of halfway through the tournament was Pecharunt Yveltal. So, of course, you have access to Pecharunt, which, as opposed to Linoone, doesn't get destroyed by Jamming Tower. It doesn't require you to find the Air Balloon, which was another issue, was finding Air Balloon. Even with the 1 copy of Petrol, who would have guessed 1 Petrol couldn't find your 2 balloons? But Yveltal is also extremely good. I think Clutch Lock is going to be imperative going into the next format, and if people aren't playing Surfer or like any like manual switches, then Yveltal, Wellspring, Sudowoodo, I think Nacli rotates, but all of them are going to start just clutch locking your opponent, and it's really good. But you see there's only one, and there's a Marnie's Morpeko. Marnie's Morpeko is a Buddy Poffin searchable free retreat dark type, which I think is really cool. It might just go right back and do an Yveltal just because it has more HP. You can do it against Dragapult. I just want to test it with it a little bit more because you have 8 outs to it. You essentially have 12 outs. Like, every single search card will be able to find this card as opposed to only 8, which I think is really, really sick. And not every game are you going to need Yveltal. Yveltal is just like a bigger free retreat target, which is cool. And to pull off the combo, really, you just need one of the dark types. And Marnie's Morpeko having more searchability is just really cool. I added 4 copies of Lilies into the deck because Lilies, as much as I looked at it, I saw a bunch of lists running 1 and 2 Iono. But one thing that I wasn't really taking into consideration is those lists also had access to Pidgeot. They also had access to Enriching Energy. They also had access to Counter Catcher. So they had all these comeback cards, whereas this deck really just kind of needs to go fast. And your comeback is Unfair Stamp, Blood Moon late game, and your whole stream of just Gale Thrust, subjugating chains, free retreat, gale thrust, curse blast, like boom, 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 boom is pretty much your whole strategy. And Lily's was able to help me find more cards. 4 copies of Petrol now. Petrol was just a really good vanilla card. It gets everything. It can get you Ultra Ball. It can get you Unfair Stamp. It can get you Candy. It can get you Structures. It can get you Black Belt for next turn. Literally, there's almost no reason to not play 4 copies. And we have the introduction of Team Rocket's Factory in here now to draw you additional cards so that you don't have to play Kangaskhan, because Kangaskhan, like I mentioned before, was fringe, but you needed to play a bunch of Switch. And in the end, it just didn't feel that good. It felt solid, but it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to retreat my Lopunny and then switch and then go back into it with the manual. Like, it just wasn't working, and it didn't feel good, and it sucks because I genuinely like Kangaskhan, but there's a couple other Kangaskhan lists I'm going to be profiling on this channel a little bit later for post-rotation. So Petrol just felt really good. It's a built-in draw engine, too, if you run Factory. You could argue 3, but I don't think you need 3 unless you expect a lot of Alakazam, and even then Alakazam feels like a weird matchup. Kind of the Itchy Pollen them really early, and then get their, like, essentially boss their duck and just go clops on all their Abras and swing with a Gale Thrust and just kind of go from there. That's really all there is to it to the Kazam matchup. Still have the 2 boss. Put in Black Belt over Cypher, because Cypher, like, if you're not running Kangaskhan, Cypher sucks. Just plain and simple. Black Belt fixes numbers where you can do 270. You can one-shot Raging Bolt, so you don't have to Badoo earlier, which is pretty good. You can one-shot Lucario. Oh, no, you can't one-shot Lucario. Sorry, I was thinking about something else. You can one-shot most things now, like Megas that have, like, extra HP. Of course, like the Heroes Cape Pokemon, you're still not going to be able to take out, and that's unfortunate, but it's not the worst thing in the world. And then we still kept a copy of Hilda, which I'm a little weird on. Like, I don't know if I want this to just be, like, Energy Search or, like, anything else, because Petrol for Energy Search in a Factory draws 2 cards. And then we do play the full 4 copies of Ultra Ball to now find the most amount of access to Pecharunt, Lopunny, and Brother Bear. And Meowth, because we do play, I forgot, I skimmed over this, we play 2 Badoo, 2 Meowth now. Badoo just ended up, like I was talking about with Mega Kangaskhan, felt weird, and more times than not, I was just using Itchy Pollen. So opening up with Itchy Pollen, getting your opponent to knock it out, and then immediately go Unfair Stamp felt extremely strong. And then Double Meowth felt a lot better for consistency, along with, mainly because we have 4 Ultra Balls, and being able to just search out Lily, search out Boss, search out Black Belt, like the other one-up cards, seemed really, really good. So then, like I said, we maximized all the search, so we were able to find everything. I'm still a little weird on the Pokepad count, but I just wanted maximum consistency to find all of the Dusknoir pieces. But technically, Pokepad probably, no, I'd probably say Buddy Poffin is, they're all really good. I was gonna say, like, one seems weak. If one seems weaker than the other one, you could argue like Ultra Ball, because Pokepad and Buddy Poffin both give you free search on all your Pokemon. Buddy Poffin's really good early game, late game it sucks. Pokepad's really good at any time, but worse early game because you'd rather conserve it for, like, mid to late game. Like, mid game, I mean, like, turn 2 to get all your evolutions out, and then Ultra Ball is just good at any time, but with the backlash of discarding a bunch of cards from your hand. Didn't change Candy Stretcher. Did take out the balloons because you don't need it. Added the Team Rockets Factory, so you can draw 2 cards every time you play Petrol, which is another built-in draw engine. Put the Unfair Stamp still. And then I switch over the energy line to 4 Mist Energy and 2 Dark Energy. So admittedly before this, I was testing a list with Counter Gang, Clefairy, and Prism Energies, just so I could have an avenue around Mega Lucario, because like I was saying earlier, I don't know how prevalent fighting is going to be, but it definitely doesn't feel like a good matchup in the slightest, but you can beat it. The prize, it just depends on what your opening turns what your opening turns end up being like, similar to your opponents. So if you end up going second and you Itchy Pollen and they go into Solrock and you have a turn to go Dusknoir or Dusknoir, take out both Riolus and then knock out the active. If you're able to go Rare Candy into Riolu, or Rare Candy into Dusknoir and pop the Riolu and knock out the other one, then they just have absolutely no game plan and they pretty much lose off of that, especially off of an Unfair Stamp. So like I said, like, breaking off of Unfair Stamp is extremely good. that's pretty much all it is in all the rest of the matchups. Like, even Mega Box, Raging Bolt is a lot easier than I thought myself, especially with the way that they're built. They're a lot more item heavy, and because Sada's gone, they only have access to Crispin. So Badoo Unfair Stamp is just so insane in this deck. And I'm really excited to see where it goes. And that's, like, the Lucario is probably where you could argue the Marnie's Morpeko would probably be better off as a Yveltal, because that actually survives a hit going into the Solrock unless they have to commit double Premium Power Pro, which means their Aura Jabs aren't going to be knocking out without an additional 2 Premium Power Pros moving forward, or if they play Dusknoir themselves, which I have seen a couple Lucario lists play Dusknoir, but it's whatever. Threats, though, and concerns for the deck. Obviously, Psyduck. Psyduck is a hit or miss, because if we go and look at the tournament, and we go look at Fukuoka, we have 1, 2, I don't think this played it, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, possibly 28, depending on what that last one is. 27 to 28 of the top 32 decks did not play Dusknoir. And I'm curious to see, there is a Psyduck in Mega Box, there's no Psyduck in Arboliva, there's no Psyduck in Raging Bolt, there is a Psyduck in here, but that's because it's Crustle, otherwise you just kind of fold to it. Straight Fold doesn't run it, Honchkrow doesn't run it, Rocket's Mewtwo doesn't run it. We have, well, Terrabox. Terrabox does run it because they got nothing better to do with their lives. We got Lucario, they don't play it, thankfully. We got Grimmsnarl, they also don't play because they can't afford it with Frostlass. So go figure, oh, I don't know if Zoroark plays it. Does Zoroark play? No, they don't. So go figure. Dusknoir, the big bad meanie, might not be the best move going into post-rotation in Dragapult. So people might opt to side out Psyduck, which I personally think is correct. I'm not trying to sound biased in any way towards this, but it's just, if Dragapult Dusknoir isn't even proven to be the best variant, which there were 2 other Dragapult variants that did way better than this, and I do think that Dragapult Blaziken is better than Dragapult Dusknoir by like a mile, because you just have more options in Clefairy Unfair Stamp, hurt your opponent more times than Dusknoir actually benefits you in that sense. So I don't think people are going to be playing a lot of Psyduck, and if they do, you know, they're like, oh, I really don't want to lose to Duskpult. They're living in the past with that, which is like cool. It's whatever. I respect it myself. But that is my Dusk Bunnies deck. I know this is a little abrupt, but I do want to thank each and every one of you who do support and have been supporting the channel, not only my YouTube, but my Twitch and my career on X, even if you want to say it like that. Just in the last 2 years, it's been really rough for me in my personal life. I've just not been able to go to events and travel, and been seeing extreme success lately, especially with getting top 32 at Puerto Rico and day 2ing, I want to say 3 of the 5 regionals / events I've been able to attend. And it wouldn't be possible without each and every one of you and all of your support. Driving me to get better and better, to give you the best content, to give you the best deck lists, essentially just making it something that I never thought was even remotely possible. And thanks to you guys, and thanks to everything that's been happening lately, I've been able to even get a car for the first time in a couple of, like, I've had my license for about 6 years, and I've only had a car for 1.5 years because of how bad it was just destroyed. And it was kind of like a burner car, as like a first car. So I do appreciate each and every one of you, and I hope you continue to support me and my channel. And I thank everyone for watching this video, and I hope to see you again.